Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here today at the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center for the Sugar Land City Council District 4 Forum. We appreciate all of you taking the time to be here today. And I know we're running a few minutes behind schedule, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I would like to begin the ceremonies by asking Noreen Ali to come up to say the national anthem, and if the audience could please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Noreen, for a very beautiful rendition of the national anthem. At this time, just to offer some opening remarks, I would like to invite the Honorary Secretary of the Aga Khan Council for the Southwestern United States, Faisal Momin.
Thank you, Alam, and thank you, Noreen. Wow, that was great. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, distinguished guests and fellow Sugar Land residents. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center. The event that we're here for today signifies a commitment to community formation, to the importance of developing knowledge and engaging residents, and to giving our voice and our desire for a truly pluralistic society. And I thank you for being part of this civic process. At the outset, I would like to express a special thank you to 3 District 4 candidates who have made the commitment to public service in our community. Thank you very much for being here today. We wish all of you well on your endeavors to improve the lives of everyone who calls Sugar Land and Fort Bend County home. I would also like to express a very special thank you to our partner, the League of Women Voters of Houston, and today's moderators, Rita Hicks from the League of Women Voters, and to University of Houston political science professor, Dr. Brandon Rottinghouse. Without your dedication, this event would not be possible, so thank you. Last but not least, I would like to recognize the members of the editorial committee who have volunteered valuable time to research and surface key issues and concerns that our prospective leaders will discuss here today. Please join me in a round of applause for the tireless efforts of all these great individuals and organizations. The center, situated within the fabric of Sugar Land community, was first jointly inaugurated by His Highness the Aga Khan and the then Texas Governor Rick Perry in 2002. as a focal point for fostering an appreciation for pluralism and for enhancing relationships and mutual exchanges among diverse people, faith communities, civic organizations, and civil society. The ethos of the center is perhaps best captured by His Highness the Aga Khan when he was invited to the Brown University to deliver the Stephen A. Ogden Memorial Lecture in 2014. In his remark, the Aga Khan said, "Progress is possible when multiple diversified needs of any society can be matched by multiple diversified inputs. That is also what civil society is all about. Progress is possible when complex issues are subjected to competent, intelligent, nuanced, and sophisticated analysis, free from dogmatism and based upon what I would describe as empathetic knowledge," end quote. Over the past year, this very building has hosted city council meetings and mayoral discussions. It has been at the center of economic panel discussions in partnership with experts from Rice University, the University of Houston, and the Greater Houston Partnership. It has been at the core of local leadership development and cultural arts programming in conjunction with great partners such as the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston, the City of Houston, the City of Sugar Land, and the Houston Arts Alliance, along with the Houston Symphony and the Grand Opera. These are just glimpses of the programs the center offers to the local community. With programs such as today's Candidate Forum, we are proud of the potential this center has in advancing the pursuit of learning and building trust across all communities that call Sugar Land home. We hope today's event will show that together we can facilitate dialogue and understanding and thereby help create a truly pluralistic community that we can call home. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I sincerely hope you'll find today's forum enlightening and that you will join us again for future events here at the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center. Thank you very much for being here and enjoy the forum.
Thank you, Honorary Secretary Faisal. Today's forum is going to be a moderated forum, and thank you, Faisal, for introducing the two moderators. I'd just like to get into a little bit of their backgrounds and tell you a little bit about them before we begin the forum. Rita Hicks is a Houston-based attorney and policy consultant. She serves as the Vice President of Civic Engagement for the League of Women Voters of the Houston area. In that role, Rita develops educational content related to local, county, and state elections to help voters make informed choices at the polls. Rita also serves as the board chair for Leadership Houston, is on the board of the directors of the Texas Lyceum, and is Houston Area Steering Committee member for the Texas Veteran Spouse Network. Dr. Brandon Rottinghouse, who is the co-moderator, holds a PhD in political science from Northwestern University. His teaching and research interests include the presidency and Texas politics. He is the author of several books, dozens of academic journals, and editor and contributor to multiple edited volumes. Most recently, he is the author of the book Inside Texas Politics, which is an Oxford University Press book. He has provided commentary on national and Texas politics in hundreds of media outlets. He is the co-host of Party Politics on Houston Public Media and the creator and contributor of Monday Morning Politics on Houston's Fox 26. And I'm gonna throw in a little plug for you, Brandon. He just started a new podcast, which is part and parcel of Houston Public Media. So for those of you interested in Texas politics, it's a quick 15-minute rundown. I've listened to it, it's pretty good. It'll keep you up to date and on the drive on the way to work. So check that out if you have an opportunity. At this time, I'd like to hand it over to Rita and Brandon, and also invite the candidates to come up, who will be introduced by our moderators. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Isn't it a gorgeous day? We were just talking about what a beautiful day it is, and thank you all for taking the time out of this gorgeous Saturday to spend your morning with us learning about this very important city council race. So we'll just go ahead and kick it off. We want as much time as possible for you to learn about these candidates. So the Sugar Land City Council candidates are Closest to me is Mr. Sean Burnett. Next to him is Miss Carol McCutcheon. And after that is Mr. Kaiser Q Imam, who prefers to be called Q. We will be on a first name basis in this forum because we want to keep it kind of casual for you. The questions for the forum were identified and reviewed in consultation with an editorial committee, which Faisal mentioned to you, comprising a group of Sugarland residents with oversight provided by the League of Women Voters. That's me. We would like to take this opportunity to thank that editorial team again, because it is a lot of hard work, I can tell you, having done a few of these, to come up with substantive questions that really give you insights into each of these candidates' visions for your city council position. Brandon?
So the forum will last approximately 60 minutes. After an opening offered by each candidate, the forum will be divided into 3 rounds. The first round will be made up of a deep dive, long form questions, followed by a section made up of short answer questions, and ultimately the last round will be questions submitted from the audience during the forum. Lastly, candidates will be given the opportunity for closing remarks. Given the nature of the event and to avoid any distractions, we'd like to request everyone please remain seated to the end of the forum, and please ensure that your cell phones are on mute. This is something my students almost never do, so maybe we can do better. Lastly, the event is being live streamed, so keep that in mind. The candidate's placement is in the order of the ballot, starting, as Rita said, with Sean closest to us, followed by Carol, and then Q on the very end. Okay. Yeah.
So we're going to kick things off first with our deep dive questions. For each of these questions, oh, I'm sorry, that's not correct. We're going to kick things off with our candidate openings. No. And as we mentioned, we're going to start closest to us. So Sean, if you'd like to begin.
Sure. Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I'm not used to this microphone earpiece setup, so forgive me if I fiddle with it a little bit. Thank you to everyone. It's great to see so many people here. Thank you to the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center, as well as the council, the editorial committee. I know you worked very, very hard. The League of Women Voters and our moderators. This has been a wonderful, wonderful event to prepare for. The help that you have given us as candidates has allowed us to put our best foot forward for the citizens of Sugarland. And I'm really excited at the way this has come together. So thank you very much. I'm Sean Burnett. My family and I have lived here since 1999. I attended the University of Texas at Austin for a Bachelor of Science degree in advertising. I've also earned a Master's of Business degree from Rice University. I currently work in the healthcare business with a high-tech preventative screening company focused on women's needs, primarily the early detection of breast cancer. As far as Sugarland goes, I've spent almost a decade serving the city of Sugarland in a volunteer capacity, 8 years total on our Planning and Zoning Commission. I am currently the vice chair of the commission. I also serve on the board of Cornerstone Christian Academy as the vice president, and I'm on the alumni board at Rice University.
Sean, thank you. We're going to be very respectful of everyone's time.
Thank you very much.
Carol, it's your turn. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Carol McCutcheon, and I'd like to thank the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center for hosting today, and I would like to thank all of you for giving up your Saturday morning to come out and hear what we have to say. Congratulations to the Aga Khan on his Diamond Jubilee this year. My husband and I have lived here in District 4 in Sugarland for 24 years, and I have served our community, been engaged in our community since the day I got here. I've been an FCCA, well, First Colony Community Association neighborhood representative for 24 years. I've previously served on the city's City Charter Review Commission, and I'm currently serving on the Land Use Advisory Commission. And this is a very important committee that's going to determine the land use policy that's going to be in place for the next 20 to 25 years. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in chemical engineering and an MBA, and I want to be your voice on City Council. Thank you.
Good morning, and Yali Madad. My name is Kaiser Q Imam. As was mentioned, I go by Q. I want to thank His Highness Aga Khan Council for the Southwestern United States, as well as the League of Women Voters, the editorial board, the volunteers for putting this event together. It takes a lot of time and energy, and we all appreciate that. My wife, Bushra, and I are raising our 3 kids here in Sugar Land. Been here about 9 years now. I'm a project manager with IBM Global Business Services, which takes a lot of project management, contract governance type of work. And for the last 9 years or so, I've been involved at the neighborhood level, working with the families, working with the citizens, working with everyone who has come across in my life with a pure heart, with the spirit of serving everybody. I'm currently involved with a lot of nonprofit organizations such as Exchange Club, Hope for 3, and I look forward to serving the people of Sugar Land, especially people of District 4. Thank you so much.
So thanks to you all. So now we will begin with our deep dive questions. For each of these questions, each candidate will receive 1.5 minutes to respond, and you have the clock in front of you. The first person to answer the question will be Carol. So Carol, with an annual budget of $259.2 million in the current fiscal year, including $73 million devoted to capital projects within the approved Capital Improvement Program, CIP, what priorities do you have in mind for infrastructure improvements that will improve the quality of life and for businesses and residents of the city?
Yeah, that's an important question. Yes, we have a budget of $260 million, and I think it's important that we work on expanding our roads. We don't have many roads left to expand, but we have the Highway 6 expansion that's planned between Lexington and Brook Street. And also, we have the opportunity to widen University Boulevard between Lexington and Highway 59. And I think that's very important with the build out of the Track 5 where the Smart Financial Center is located. Once we get offices and hotels and everything there, the traffic's going to significantly increase. So we do need to have that area of roads widened. And what we saw with the recent flood, it's very important for us to work on our drainage issues to protect us from future flooding. And another little longer term issue that I'd like to see us work on is that the Societas District has said that we need to go from 30% dependence on surface water to 60% dependence on surface water. So that is going to require expansion of our current water production facilities. And so those are the 3 priorities I would think of with respect to infrastructure. Thank you.
So let's make sure we understand something that's very important, which is that when it comes to planning and setting a vision, the City of Sugar Land does a pretty good job in making sure that we look forward in the future. So any capital improvement plans, as asked, there's usually a 5-year plan that's put together. And the way it works is that we have a set of priorities that we set with the input of the council, which is very important because council is the voice of people. And then the first year of that plan actually goes into the budget. And so these are set projects that we will actually work on. The remainder 4 years of projects are really something that we plan for. And we must, as any society that has to grow, then reprioritize as needed. So as Carol mentioned very well, we already have needs, roads, drainage, where work needs to be done. Those are already in the plans. But we need to be very, very vigilant moving forward that these other priorities that we have set for the remainder years, we continue to look at that. And most probably, yes, roads and drainage will always be at the forefront of these plans, but we also need to look as to how the city needs to grow, how we want the character of city needs to be, and of course, our fiscal state of health, right? So the amount of debt we're gonna take and so forth, all of those things have to be taken into consideration when we come up with any prioritization and plans for the future. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to comment on the other 2 of my opponents, both very strong perspectives on what we should do for capital improvements. But what I want to explain is we've all three attended meetings recently, mine most recently at the neighborhood rep meeting just last week in City Hall. There's a lot of concern out there amongst neighborhood representatives about drainage and flooding and the ongoing projects we have going on. If you live on Williams Trace, there's all kinds of constructions, tree removals, and they're trying to widen the street, provide a walking path, and both improve mobility and drainage in one project. At our spring retreat that we were able to attend with the City Council, the city staff reported that there's tremendous uncertainty with regard to sales tax generation over the next 2 to 3 years. Q hit it on the head. This is a 5-year project, and what we need to understand is that there are a lot of projects in the queue right now that are in process. They're actually in jeopardy of slowing down. I live in Lakes of Austin Park. My wife and I went through a year project that we did not want to slow down. We were so happy that it got finished. We want to make sure as a priority with our budget that we finish all ongoing projects, particularly prioritizing drainage, that's property damage and inconvenience for our family, and mobility, widening the roads that need to be widened and improving them, as well as putting in technology that will help us at the traffic stoplights, etc. So those are the priorities, but also keeping a keen eye on the future and making sure we prioritize future capital improvements as the times change. Thank you.
Well, thank you. The second deep dive question will start with Q. The question is, with the Smart Financial Center providing a significant boost to Sugar Land's tourism efforts, how would you leverage investments such as this to serve as a springboard for further economic growth for the city? And you have a minute and a half again.
So there is no doubt that we have had a tremendous boost with Smart Center infusion into our community. As a matter of fact, it's not just economic, actually. We've suddenly now made it to the news that Sugar Land is now a city that appreciates comedy. As you've noticed, we have had so many comedians perform at the Smart Center. I think it goes back to the whole idea about we don't, as a city, want to just suddenly say one day, oh, you know what, let's just build something and hope that that will increase our sales and economic activity. We need to, and we already have actually, we have significant plans. I think as Carol mentioned already, we have a significant plan for the development around Smart Center Financial, around the Imperial area where the sugar mill was. And I think we continuously have to look for what does our budget allow, what does the two Sugar Land Development Council and Sugar Land 4B funds allow, and where the economy is heading for us to be able to define those projects, be able to pay for those projects, and then continually monitor those projects as far as what type of impact they're making. We obviously, as part of our vision, we want to be a destination for entertainment. So we want to focus on that, but at the same time, remember, any growth, any economic development cannot come at the backs of the quality of life and the character of Sugar Land we want to maintain. So that's the balance we need to continuously be there. Thank you.
Sean.
So I'm a big advocate of supporting the local economy. We have probably our three most visible public-private partnerships. One, the Skeeters Constellation Field, our champion Skeeters. Two, the Smart Financial Center, also the Natural History Museum. These facilities were designed to boost the local economy without putting stress on our residential areas. So to balance our tax base and create sales tax revenue with a focus on future uncertainty, we have to continue to work on these public-private partnerships and support them. I politely disagree with my opponent Q. The Track 5 property around Smart Financial is by no means set. We're working very hard in the city as well as the development company to come up with a plan that works with the will of the people, eases congestion, and attracts employment. The plans that have been put forth before the Planning and Zoning are still under review. No one has accepted it yet, and we're looking for something that makes it work, because if we do, all of the other retail establishments in town will benefit. I ran a small business, multiple small businesses in Sugar Land. I understand how important it is to have a robust customer base so that we can keep our doors open, make payroll, pay the rent. It's very important for the city to work with our current business owners to attract business to Sugar Land, employment to Sugar Land, and balance that tax base. Those public-private partnerships, like the Smart Financial Center, are central to doing so, and so far it's been very successful. Thank you.
Thank you. The Smart Financial Center is going to be a really great development for our city. It's going to bring in some new office buildings, and also it's going to be a entertainment and cultural arts facility. And when Newland first proposed the development back in 2015, they had 9 different final planned development districts proposed. And our concern was that with these 9 different districts, there was not going to be a consistency of development. And then in addition, the city owns the tract where the Smart Financial Center currently is. And the city had its own vision there. So Newland has currently withdrawn its planned development proposal. And what I think is really great is now that the city and Newland are going to work together, and they're going to come forth with one single planned development proposal for the entire area. This will ensure that the traffic problem is not overwhelming to our residents. It's also going to make sure that we have a consistency in the vision of it being an entertainment and arts center and supporting our businesses. And also another issue was the fact that in the original proposal, they wanted each office building to have its own standalone parking. So now the new vision is for the final development plan to have structured parking that everyone can share. And that's something that they're working on even at the Texas legislature level. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our next question will go to Sean first, and it's a question about annexation. The communities of Greatwood and New Territory will become part of the city of Sugar Land on December 1st, bringing over 30,000 new residents into the city's jurisdiction. What problems do you foresee with the additional resident burden, and how do you intend to address those problems?
What problems do I see with annexation with regard to the new resident burden? Well, as many of you know, we're currently at about 87,000 people here in Sugar Land, citizens in Sugar Land. After annexation, we'll jump more than 30% to 117,000, a little bit more than that. The great news is this has been in the works for almost 10 years, since 2007. So from a financial standpoint, there is no financial burden on the city in terms of residential tax increases to accept and complete the annexation process. And in fact, over time, those residents in New Territory and in Greatwood will actually see a tax decrease as the MUDs are paid off, the debt's paid off. So Alan Bogart and the city staff, as well as all of our first responders, have a great plan in place to provide first response service immediately upon annexation. I actually think it's mid-December, not December 1st, just to be correct. But starting midnight of the day of annexation, the county police force will stand down and Sugar Land PD will roll in. They already have fire and EMS, and they've been used to it. They've just been paying services. So I think that the biggest challenge is getting those communities involved. They've been waiting to be involved in our community, and welcoming them in and making sure that we communicate better, not only to them, but to everybody in our city about what's going on and how to get involved and communicate and how to access those services. We're also going to transition their water and trash services over time, but there's a plan in place for that. So in summary, I think it's a well planned out process, and I don't foresee many problems. Thank you.
I think there are 3 main issues with respect to the annexation. First of all, there are some residents that have concerns in Greatwood and New Territory, and I think it's important that their concerns be heard. We want their voices to be heard. Secondly, here in Sugar Land, at a recent council meeting, Chief Brinkley announced that Sugar Land has enjoyed the lowest crime rate in the past 20 years, which is really exciting. And the goal is to have a response time less than 6 minutes. So I think it's very important when we annex these new residents that they enjoy the same high quality, high level of services there that we enjoy here, that they have the same response times there that we have here. And the police department has been very proactive in this, and I want to thank them for all that they have done. But they are going to be hiring 22 new police officers that they will have trained prior to the December 12th annexation, so that they'll be ready to go. And then the third issue is that Great Wood is going to become part of District 4, and New Territory is going to become part of District 2. So with 30,000 residents being added, that's going to be a lot more people in District 2 and 4 than in 1 and 3. So then after the May 2018 election, redistricting will need to take place so that the districts will be evened out. Thank you.
I think I'd use the word challenges rather than problems. And as Julie said, whenever there's a change, there's anxiety. And actually, there's anxiety on both sides, not just on the Great Wood New Territory side. There's also anxiety on the current citizen side saying, is that going to impact our current services? Is it going to put overburden the city, both from a budget and services perspective? So and I think it's already been alluded to that communication becomes really the key focus and the driver behind making sure that those challenges are addressed. So making sure that folks in New Territory and Great Wood understand that the services are going to improve, stay at the same level and improve, that a lot of planning has gone in, over a decade worth of planning around personnel, around making sure that all the services that are provided are high quality, and at the same time, communicate. Both, as I said, the current City of Sugar Land residents and New Territory and Great Wood residents, that this has been in the plan. We are ready from a personnel perspective. As mentioned, the police force, other services, we've hired people. And so as long as we communicate well, as long as we make sure that those concerns, those questions are addressed at the HOA levels, at the neighborhood community meetings level, I think we'll be in good shape, and I think we're ready, and I think we're all excited, to be honest with you, on both sides, the new communities coming and being part of Sugar Land, and the City of Sugar Land. Thank you.
Our fourth deep dive question will start with Carol. The question is, as a city council member, what is your position on the development of multifamily housing complexes in Sugar Land?
My position is that I am against high-density, high-rise apartments. And that can be evidenced by back in 2015 when Newland filed a proposal to build 900 high-density apartments off University and Lexington, next to Avalon at Telfair and behind Crescent Lakes. The citizens stood up and said, no, this is not what we want. This is not going to maintain the suburban atmosphere that we all cherish here in Sugar Land. As a result, I was one of the ones who led the effort to push back against the 900 high-density apartments. We had an apartment letter that I co-wrote, and we had over 1,700 signatures on it. In addition, Sugar Land Votes had a petition that supported this effort as well, and it had 3,200 signatures on it. Also, developers have said that the Houston area market is currently oversaturated with apartments. And if you look up and down Beltway 8, apartments are being built all up and down there. A number of apartments have recently been built in Riverstone, and also we have 274 apartments that will be built in Imperial in the near future. Thank you.
I think the question primarily pertains to the position on high-density multifamily housing. So let me first state that, and I want to be very clear about this, is that my position, like many people in Sugar Land, especially in District 4's position, is we already had a very specific code in our city laws. We need to stick to that. The people of Sugar Land, the leaders of Sugar Land, had put together a vision and plan, and that is, whereas we understand that we need multifamily housing in any city, there has to be a cap There has to be a limitation. There has to be a plan on how we grow, how much we grow. And I think the key point as far as my position is concerned is that anytime we look at projects like these, we cannot just look at one aspect of that development. We need to look at the economic impact, obviously, but we need to look at, is that truly fitting into the character of Sugar Land that the citizens want? How's it going to impact the schools that we take so much pride in? And it really is one of the biggest reasons a lot of us have moved to Sugar Land to begin with. How does that impact traffic? What is the plan to maintain the quality of the proposed development in future? We need to address all of that. And at the end, it has to be in the code. It doesn't matter what I say standing up here. It has to be in the code. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question just quickly before
Absolutely,
we start?
yeah. The question is, as a city council member, what is your position on the development of multi-family housing complexes in Sugar Land?
Thank you. This is a great question, and it's long overdue to be answered in a public forum. I'm so thankful that it was asked. Okay, so as a Planning and Zoning Commissioner, I'm keenly aware of the zoning and what capacity we have in the city for multifamily residential apartments. Currently, the code for multifamily standalone apartments is R4. We have none. There's no room in the city, no zoning in the city that is zoned R4. There are no apartments that are standalone that are even available in the city. The only way multifamily can go in from this point on is a mixed-use development or a planned development. We have limited acreage available currently to do planned developments. Tract 5 would be one of them. Newland Communities, who's the developer and owner of that land, has published a letter that says there will be no apartments on that land. In fact, the misnomer is the 900 apartments that everyone was so concerned about was really born out of a misstatement in a public meeting. It was never formally proposed because their development agreement only allowed for 88 apartments across the freeway. So the 900 apartments was really a discussion that the citizens rallied around to make sure that the city knew that they had no tolerance for 900 apartments in Tract 5. Planning and Zoning Commission, myself included, agreed to that. In fact, we couldn't build them there, and there won't be any there. The last election, however, established a 4-part criteria, which I agree with, for determining if any apartments could go into mixed use. And those are the 4 criteria I would use: mobility, school effects, perp fit, and structured parking. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our next question goes to Q first, and that question is, given the expected development on Telfair South, the upcoming festival site, expansion of UH Sugar Land, and Fluor's relocation, all happening on the intersection of Highway 59 and University Boulevard, how will you address resident mobility concerns related to vehicular density and congestion?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, one of the residents asked me, Q, I cannot believe they're moving the county fair to the 59 University intersection on that festival ground. And I said, I don't think we have any plans to move the county fair and bringing in all of that show. I think we already heard, and I will reinforce a very high level of concern among the citizens of District 4 especially on the traffic and the impact that development is having already. And we obviously have significant amount of growth and activity that we perceive occurring at that intersection. We have to, there's just absolutely no way around it. We have to look at the load that it's going to put from a traffic perspective, special times when that traffic impact is going to be. And we need to, working with our Sugar Land Police Department, we need to, with subject matter experts that can do studies around traffic, we need to address that, whether it's widening the lanes, whether it's putting in some entry-exit points that don't make people living in, for example, Avalon Telfair and Brazos Landing and Commonwealth stating that it's taking them 45 minutes when there are events at the Smart Center to just make that turn and go home. We need to address all of that, but again, it has to be worked together with the police service, the subject matter experts, and our infrastructure in that perspective. Thank you.
That's a great question. I know it's a concern on the minds of many of the residents in District 4. as is mine. We routinely use University as well as Sweetwater, either side of Track 5, actually. I heard a resident actually bring concerns to me the other day about the Sweetwater side of the development area. Because of all the healthcare expansion that's going on there, we actually have people rushing to doctor's offices and emergency rooms that was once basically a neighborhood street. On the other side, per the question, all of the activity around University Boulevard is actually good activity. We want to grow that land and get the highest and best use out of that land. We want Track 5 to be an entertainment and employment center. The issue is there's a lot of work to be done on Track 5. It's not done. Newland and the city have a lot of work, and they're working together to take a look at the traffic patterns within Track 5 and those traffic patterns that would actually be generated outside of Track 5 as a result of the development. We have a wonderful festival center, as Q mentioned, and it's fantastic. We want to utilize it. We also have a great resource in the University of Houston Sugar Land. We want that to expand and grow. University Boulevard has capacity to expand, and we also have a few things that we can work with our traffic and public safety department on in terms of the 59 feeder, Texas Department of Transportation as well, to help ease that burden. But again, within that Track 5 and to the residents who live right adjacent to it, there's still a lot of work to be done, and the Planning and Zoning Commission and the city and the developer are working on it, as well as the owners that are within it, be it Fluor, Texas Instruments, and MD Anderson, hopefully. So there's a lot of work to be done, but hopefully we'll improve it. Thank you.
Well, first I'd like to correct a statement that Sean made recently. There were, in fact, 900 high-density apartments that were filed for in Newland's planned development. Council member Harish Jaju told me in September 2015 that Newland had recently filed a PD with the city that did include apartments. I immediately scheduled a meeting with Lisa Kosich-Meyer, our city planner, and Assistant City Manager Jim Calloway. I physically read the PD. It specifically said 900 high-density apartments, and it had them on the map. And then also, I was meeting with Mayor Thompson at City Hall when he read a letter to a group of residents from throughout the city that were meeting with him about this issue, and it said that Newland had withdrawn its proposal for 900 high-density apartments. So with that said, one of the reasons I am running for council is to make sure when the development occurs, the 2 hotels, the convention center, hopefully the hospital and all the office buildings, that the traffic impact is thoroughly addressed so that the residents trying to use University can get in and out of their homes to 59 to get to work and to get to school. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our final deep dive question, we will start with Sean. The question is, in 2002, His Highness the Aga Khan and Governor Perry jointly inaugurated the center in which you are today. His Highness said, and I quote, "It will be a center which will seek to bond men and women to this pluralist country to replace their fragility in their narrow spheres by the strength of civilized society bound together by a common destiny," end quote. Building and sustaining a pluralistic society is one that requires civic intent. So how will you, as a member of City Council in Sugar Land, remain or ensure that this remains as a leader, Sugar Land remains a leader in this endeavor?
Thank you. Wonderful question. Sugar Land is a city of the future. It's a model for future cities as we grow and diversify over time. Sugar Land as a city, my campaign's slogan is Sugar Land, a city for the ages, all ages. A city for the ages is something that lasts the test of time, and in order for us to do that at a high quality for the benefit of our residents, we have to be attractive to new and different cultures, young people, as well as embracing those that are aging in place. And so this question fits right into that vision. Sugar Land has numerous areas where we reach out and accept and encourage multiculturalism, pluralism, if you will. In fact, coming up in early May, we have a diversity conference that the Marriott is hosting. We have a wonderful iFest, the International Fest that we host. We have the festival site where we host a beautiful ceremony in the Kite Festival. We have all kinds of things here for people to get involved with purely at a neutral level, whether it's being involved in our boards and commissions, volunteering and learning from the Sugarland 101, the Police 101, leadership programs at the Chamber of Commerce. So we want to be a place that welcomes everyone around a common goal or a common vision. There's lots of room for diverse ideas, and the city does a fantastic job embracing those things and giving those outlets. We can communicate better and get more and more people involved as we shift and change over time, but I think if this remains a priority, we'll remain a city of the future. Thank you.
Sugarland is a very diverse place, and I think it's really exciting because people from many different backgrounds live here, and we get along. That's really great. I think that the main difference is we're on issues. It's not really on ethnic background. And I'm really excited about the city's new festival site, where I recently attended the Kite Festival, and I'm really hoping to be able to expand the different multicultural offerings that will be there at the festival site. At Town Center recently, I was at the Navros Festival, and that was fun to see that. And so I hope that we continue to expand the different multicultural activities that are there at the town square as well. And I think it's important that we have a diversity of viewpoints on all of our boards, committees, commissions, and task force, because out of different ideas, you bring people together and you can get the best solution. And part of my background as a reservoir engineer was working with multidisciplinary teams, and that is one of my strengths, working together with people from different backgrounds, getting their inputs, and coming up with the best solution. And that's what we want for our city. Thank you.
I think I've already mentioned this at another forum, that we have to be very specific in making sure that as a city, we set a very clear vision and put a very clear message out there to anyone who lives in the city, anyone who's going to visit the city, or anyone who's going to do business with the city, that we value diversity. That's number one. Number two, as mentioned, we need to make sure that we make all the communities more aware of the opportunities to get involved, whether it's through the boards, commissions, and so forth. Absolutely important. But third, and this is kind of what was being asked from the direct quote from His Highness Aga Khan, this center, where I have attended a multitude of events, all the way from an enchanting musical evening, music from all over the world, to discussion around very mind-expanding ideas, to what's happening to real estate. It's a classic instance of best practices of what the city need to do. This center brings so many different people together. That's what we need to do all over the city. This is the best practice we have established, and it would be very unfortunate if we cannot propagate this further. So yes, the answer to that question is, if I'm elected as a city council member, just like I always came to the events that happened as a citizen, I will be more than happy to come and continue supporting the events that are not just organized by this center, but anywhere in the city to support that vision and the goals. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We're now going to transition to the short answer format questions. Each candidate will receive 1 minute to answer these questions, and we will start with Carol. Carol, if elected, what one issue would you most like to champion and take the lead on as a member of City Council?
That's a perfect question for me. So my favorite issue would be the development of Track 5. When that goes forward, do we want 10-story office buildings crammed together with no setbacks and very little green space? Or do we want 6-story buildings with reasonable setbacks and nice green space around there? We want to make sure that the residents' concerns about traffic on University are addressed, as well as the traffic that's going to be coming down Lexington through the roundabout into Crescent Lakes. I want to make sure that the visioning task force vision for this to be a cultural and entertainment center is really going to be enforced, because we need smaller cultural arts and entertainment venues that's going to support the Smart Financial Center. And we want to make sure we have some really great restaurants and other retail that is going to support that. So this will really be the economic development for the city that we intended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll follow the same order, right? Yeah, okay. I think the single biggest thing I will work on is to make sure that the citizens of Sugar Land, especially District 4, feel that their voice, their issues, their concerns are being heard and are being represented on the council. And of course, as Carol just mentioned, right now, and this is true even when I walked all these homes, the number one thing that comes up is Q, what are we going to do with this? Some people just call it apartments, multi-housing, and so forth. And I think I need to bring the perspective back to, yes, we can address all these specific single projects, but as citizens, the only way we will feel protected is if we set the code to what we, the people of Sugar Land, want the city to be like. That's what we need to focus on. And that's what I'm going to work with, making sure that people feel that they are being represented, heard, and they can trust, and they can feel there's integrity in their leaders. Thank you.
If elected to City Council, my first priority will be balancing the local tax base and supporting our local economy. Why is that so important? Our city thrives on being able to provide Tier 1, top quality services and top quality of life for our residents. To do that, it costs money. In order to do that and not generate this money completely off the backs of us, the residents of Sugar Land, we have to find a way to balance it. There's tremendous pressure coming from Austin, as many of you know, to control that tax revenue at the local level and take it out of the hands of the City Council. Whether or not that happens is somewhat out of our control at this point. But that added to the uncertainty in the economy, the number of building permits and the number of new businesses opening, we have to focus on how to keep services high on limited revenue. And by doing that, we need to support local businesses and encourage local employment. That would be my number one priority. Thank you.
Okay, our second short answer question is a fun one. We're going to start with Q. You have a free Saturday night in Sugar Land. How would you spend it?
Is the mic still on? No, I'm just kidding. Well, if I don't have the tickets to some cool event at the Smart Center, which, by the way, have been pretty pricey. I don't know if you have noticed that or not at times. Probably the town center is going to be the place to hang out. And that's partly because I have 3 kids. One of them is a college-age kid, so yes, he probably has a few more options. But my 2 younger ones, we'd like to do something with them. That's the reason we moved to Sugar Land. It's because of the value that the city of Sugar Land puts on families. So I think something in town center, all the way from hanging out in the public square area, listening to a concert, although Saturday night we don't have those, we usually have them on Friday nights. Eating something cool, getting a selfie with the selfie statue, that would be always something fun to do. And just mingle with the people and just make sure that the kids feel that, you know what, this is home. This is where we want to grow and become contributing citizens and a good family to live. That's what I do. Thank you.
What would we do on a Saturday night? Well, I guess it would depend on what time of year it is. If there's a Skeeters game going on in the spring, we might take in a Skeeters game. If it's not baseball season, we would probably grab dinner in Town Center, or maybe hopefully one day in the Imperial Market, head over for a show at the Smart Financial Center, or maybe check out Movie Under the Moon in the city square. There's so much to do in Sugar Land, and as a resident, I'm so proud that our mantra, our focus is to make Sugar Land a great place to live, work, and play. So you don't have to go anywhere. When I ran my business years ago at the Outback Steakhouse on Williams Trace, there wasn't a lot to do. So it was a challenge keeping people in Sugar Land. As we've developed and created more and more wonderful attractions, you can go to the park if it's a nice night. You can get a great meal. As long as we support these local eateries and these local shops with more and more people during the day coming and patronizing them, they'll continue to come here. We can also check out sports and other events. So there's tons to do. Busy Saturday night. Thank you.
That's a tough question because there's so many fun things to do in Sugar Land. It's just an incredible place to live. But the first thing I think we do, we take our dogs to the dog park. Our dogs really love going there and having a chance to just run free and wild. And so then we go to the town center and just mingle with the people that are out there, maybe get some ice cream or some Starbucks or something like that. And we would have dinner at one of the many great restaurants that we have. And then if there was something at Smart Financial Center, we'd go over to Smart Financial Center and enjoy one of the shows there. And I really enjoyed going to those. And then come back and maybe even grab hot chocolate, a dessert, or someplace and enjoy, like I said, further walking around the square and just getting to meet people and just enjoy just the different things that we have to offer there. Thank you.
This last short answer question is really based on an important priority at the League of Women Voters. We believe wholeheartedly that our elected officials get more done for their constituents when they have good working relationships. So much of getting things done for your community is based on relationships. So with that in mind, the last question goes to Sean first. And the question is, during this campaign, you've each gotten to spend more time together. Tell us one thing you admire about each of your opponents.
Great question. That's a fantastic question. So one of the things that I've enjoyed most about throwing my hat into the ring and trying to step up into elected public office is I've gotten to know a lot of new friends, a lot of new people. And my opponents are two of them. I admire immensely Q's passion for the city, his patient, committed delivery, and his willingness to work hard to earn votes. As for Carol, undoubtedly her passion is clear for what she believes is most important to the city. And look, it takes courage for any of us to step up and step out in front of all of you and every day walk and knock on doors and hope that people open and shake your hand. And so it's a testament to the courage of the folks up here and their families, frankly, to allow us all to step up. So I have a mutual respect and a kinship here for what we've gone through and what we continue to go through during this election. So thank you.
I have tremendous respect for both Sean and Q. And I just greatly admire them for caring enough about Sugar Land to run for city council. And I greatly admire the many years of service that they have done for our community. In particular, Sean has served for many, many years on Planning and Zoning Commission. And I've been through a number of those meetings, and they're long, they take a lot of preparation, and I admire him for that. And Q, in particular, has been very involved in the Exchange Club and other activities at that. And similarly, it's not just the candidates that are running, it's the families that are running too. And the families are impacted by the times when you're at events or knocking on doors and things like that. And so then I just appreciate the support that all of our families have collectively given us as candidates. Thank you.
We are truly blessed, to be honest with you, to work together. And I must say, starting with Sean, it is great to learn from a man who brings a tremendous amount of insight as far as how we can grow, what we need to do from an economic development perspective, what kind of things we need to put into our recipe in order to have a city that is prosperous and is healthy for our community. So I have tremendous respect for the perspective as a business owner, as well as Carol mentioned, his experience on the Planning and Zoning Commission. And remember, every opportunity, every encounter for me is a learning experience. And the same thing goes for Ms. Carroll. Carol's passion about what she said when she stood up and she said, it's very, very clear about the one issue that I'm going to fight for. It truly resonates, it truly reflects what people in District 4 are passionate about. And her being out there is, again, it's a motivating factor to say there are people who care and we're blessed to live among that. So I thank you for all your time as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you, candidates. Our third round of questions includes questions from you all, the audience. The first question will go to Carol. The question is, whether it is red light cameras or body cameras, what is your view on the use of technology for public safety purposes? What advantages and disadvantages do you believe technology poses in this context?
So body cameras too, huh? Okay. Well, I think that the red light cameras are important. I really don't like them, but the problem is people run red lights. And that is a very dangerous thing. And one of my issues is let's keep Sugar Land safe. I was at a recent council meeting and Chief Brinkley gave some statistics for the red light that was at Elkins at University. During the 30-day warning time, it was around, I don't know, 600-700 warnings were given. But then 30 days later, when the tickets started giving out, it had significantly increased. And that is the problem. That is right by a school there. So it is important that we use technology where appropriate so we can help keep our children and our residents safe. Thank you.
As somebody who works for IBM, I truly believe that technology is a tremendous resource when it comes to public safety or, for such matter, any of our aspects of our life. Specifically to those questions, I think Sugar Land Police Department has been very clear about the use of body cameras. I think it tremendously helps not just with the public safety, but in making sure that our first responders have very well documented encounters, which I think helps making sure that our first responders are never put into a position where they truly never got into the first place. So yes, absolutely. The second thing about the red light cameras, yes, there's a lot of people, like Carol mentioned, who literally hate the idea of red light cameras, but there is definitely an impact on safety. And I think there are studies that will show both sides. At the end of the day, the people in Sugar Land, including people in Brazos Landing, by the way, this is the intersection where I helped the kids cross the first time because there was no safety in place at that point. We worked with it. Those cameras are needed for safety, absolutely.
I think you'll find very little disagreement here on this issue. One of my central planks of my platform is leveraging technology to help the city provide services more efficiently and more effectively to the residents. We were at the same presentation by Chief Brinkley as he presented to council in his annual report. The statistics near the school and university are staggering. After the warning period was up, we generated in the next less than 30 days in February, almost 1,000 red light violations by a school, okay? Full disclosure, I am a 2-time red light camera violator in the city of Sugar Land. Not fun, and you're pretty much caught. So I rolled the red light at 6 and 59, 2 times in fact, so I didn't learn my lesson. But I'll tell you what, I know where they are, and I know what I'm doing now. Our serious car accident rate as a result of running a red light has gone down 40% since we installed our cameras. So we had 5, we now have 7, and they rotate them around the city. Other cameras, like body cameras, are also important, and I'm out of time. Sorry.
Thank you, candidates. Our next audience question goes to Q first. The Texas Senate has passed SB 2. The stated aim of SB 2 is to combat property tax appraisal growth and avoid impacts on finances of families, businesses, and so forth by keeping property taxes low. However, some feel that SB 2 is an unfunded mandate that hinders their ability to raise revenue. And what the question is what's your position on this issue?
First of all, I want to give credit to whoever wrote that question. That's a pretty detailed and very knowledgeable question. So let's just make sure we're clear about two things very quickly, since it's a minute. Number one, the crux of the issue of why these two bills, both at the Senate and the State House, were introduced is the question that was raised that the property taxes were getting to the point where it was impacting retaining businesses, and was there enough accountability at the local level to say, is it transparent enough as to why our taxes keep going up? So that's really sort of the crux of why it was brought up. The challenge that I think we are seeing is that the local municipalities, school boards, cities are saying, listen, we really want to have the local control. We know better how the money needs to be spent, when it needs to be raised, and as mentioned, keeping that balanced budget. So the position there is we need to bring that trust and accountability and the transparency for citizens to feel, and B, local control definitely then is important.
Again, I'll be surprised if we have much disagreement here. Great question. Look, the purpose of this bill, there's actually another bill similar to it in the House, is to make sure that local municipalities don't overtax the citizens. Unfortunately for us, we have a great city. Our city council has done a great job managing our tax rate. We have the second lowest municipal tax rate of any city our size in the state of Texas, and yet provide stellar services and have a top AAA bond rating. We've done a great job with the city managing our finances. This is about local control, as Q said. Our city puts together 5-year plans. The 5-year average of our tax rate inflation is less than the cap that they want to put us under. What that will incentivize our city to do, in cities across the state of Texas, is in order to mitigate rainy days and sales tax dips, we'll maximize the tax each and every year just to make sure we have funds to provide services. So this is counterintuitive to our city in particular, and I'm for local control. Thank you.
The city of Sugar Land enjoys one of the lowest tax rates in the state. And at the same time, we enjoy a very high level of services. That's the best of both worlds. I am absolutely about keeping property taxes as low as possible. I was out block walking the other day, and one of the homeowners said to me, are property taxes going to keep going up? If they do, he said, we may have to sell our home and move. We've lived here for a long time, but we've seen our property taxes go up and up and up. And he said, I don't want to move, but I just might have to. And I saw that look in his eyes. But anyway, one thing that I do like to commend the city council on, last year, 10% property values. So I am about local control. Thank you.
Thank you all. Our third audience question will go first to Sean. The question is, the city's water usage is a significant contributor to water use in the region. As a city councilor, what steps would you take, if any, to ensure that the city is using this scarce resource efficiently?
Great question, and it's something that we're facing and will face as we continue to grow. The city operates under a comprehensive plan that has 8 separate master plans, 2 of which deal with water. There's a water master plan and the wastewater master plan. It's been referenced before, we're under state mandates to mitigate subsidence, to convert from groundwater to surface water. We have a wonderful water treatment plant that was just re-rated, so it has more capacity, and we actually have credits against the state because we've done such a good job converting. We're ahead of schedule, actually. The biggest issue is both waste, managing the infrastructure that we have in place to minimize leakage and loss, as well as making sure we're on schedule to increase capacity when the new requirements come on in 2025. The city of Sugar Land is working very, very well with parties in the county, with the subsidence district, to manage these issues and manage them very well, and we're adhering to our master plans. So we're on track, and we have plenty of water, and we have plenty of capacity to convert it, so I think we're in very good shape. We just have to keep going. Thank you.
Water supply is going to become an even more critical issue as time goes on. And one thing that we are currently facing in Sugar Land is that by 2025, we need to go from 30% usage of surface water to 60% usage of surface water. A few years ago, we built a plant, about a $70 million plant, to achieve the first part of that. But so now we're going to have to look at expanding that plant so we can go from the 30% to the 60%. Right now, there is an integrated citizen task force that is looking at this. And so one thing that's important to look at, what are some other things that we can do from conservation or reuse of non-potable water so that we don't have to just like double the supply of this plant? What are some things that we can do have the residents watch on their irrigation usage and things like that? So we need to be creative in looking about our future water supply. Thank you.
How many of you have heard that we have heard that water is going to be oil the next in a few years? That's the kind of challenge we're dealing with. I think it's already been very well articulated that we have a particular goal by 2025 as far as the surface water usage, and I think we have a tremendous opportunity as a city with the Integrated Water Plan Committee. We truly can be a leader in the region, maybe not just the region, the state, when it comes to putting a plan together that is smart as far as water usage. This, I think, to be honest with you, and the current council has to be given credit for that, for the vision. Let's go to the level where we as a city can come up using subject matter experts' input, citizens' input, our own lessons learned within the goals that we have set, truly be a leader and set an example of what efficient usage of water, the resource that's going to be so critical down the road, can be. Definitely an opportunity for us. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Our last question from the audience goes to Carol first, and the question is, over the past year, the Citizens Ethics Task Force has been charged with the mission of providing updates to the city's existing rules of ethical conduct. What updates, if any, would you recommend?
That's an important question, and I would like to thank Conrath Davis and the Citizens Ethics Task Force for all of the hard work that they've done on this issue over the course of the past year. And their recommendations will be finalized in the near future and will be going to City Council for approval. I can really sum it up in about 2 words, though. The main thing is they want the city officials and elected representatives to be ethical, and they want to have transparency. And the revisions that the task force has carefully looked at over the course of the past year are geared to do just that. Let's have greater transparency, and let's make sure that the citizens know that they have ethical leaders in place. Thank you.
Let me make one thing very clear. The idea of this committee to come up with recommendations really shows the dedication of our city and our city leadership to say, how can we improve, all right? And I think the recommendations, and there's several of them, they need to be addressed mainly because we always want the citizens, the residents of Sugar Land to feel that they can trust the leaders in place, that there are processes in place that will take care and ensure that there's never a question that is raised. That's forward thinking, okay? That's making sure that in a few years we're not trying to put a band-aid on issues and so forth. So I commend the idea of putting this task force together. I commend the time that was put in to come up with the recommendations. But the next step really is we need to address all of those recommendations, whether they are, hey, we're already doing this and here's the process or the procedure, or you know what? Yeah, that is something we need to address, because remember, integrity and trust in the leadership is vital for us. Thank you.
We sat in one of the early workshops when the Ethics Task Force presented findings, or at least initial recommendations to council, and it was quite impressive. My thanks as well goes out to the task force, many late nights. Conrath Davis, an able leader, Thank you to him. He also has endorsed my campaign, and I thank Conrath for his long and many years of friendship. The Ethics Task Force is an example of our city staying ahead of the curve. You know, commissioned by the city attorney and the city council, and tasked with trying to understand where we sit relative to our peer cities as being the most ethically bound city in the state of Texas is just a hallmark of what our city stands for. Our city currently isn't experiencing any ethical issues that require outcry. Some municipalities recently have, some counties have as well. Sugar Land is not. There's a system of controls in place that keep our representatives and our city staff above board. But we can do more, and the task force is addressing that right now, and we look forward to their recommendations. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you each. We have ended the question portion of the forum, and we will now move to the candidate closing remarks. Our first candidate to close will be Q.
3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Got it, just make sure. So once again, thank you so much to the council, to the volunteers, to all of you for being here. Let me just reinforce a few things that I think you've already heard this. We're all putting ourselves, our ideas, our time, our energy to make sure that our families, our citizens, our residents in Sugar Land can continue to live the kind of life that we all want for our families in a safe, nurturing environment, in an environment where there's something to look forward to, whether it's in your school, at your jobs, at your businesses, at a park. And we need to make sure that we remember that as a specific city plans, agendas, codes. But remember this, a council member, or the council in general, is really the advisory board. It is the people's voices. It is to represent the people's concern, hopes, and making sure that our city manager and the city executes that vision and the goals. So one aspect is to make sure that our city is being managed fiscally in a sound way, but another big thing is to really take it to the next level. We need to make sure that we as citizens feel that our council members are continuously looking for how to improve, how to bring in ideas where we feel that, you know what, we might not be the biggest city in the region, but we are the leaders, whether it's bringing high quality employers to our area, whether it's being a leader in the water usage, whether it's being the example in the state and the national level to say, look what they did when it comes to putting in procedures and processes for ethics, for integrity, for trust. So at the end of all of this, what you need to look at deep down in your heart is that, can I trust and can I feel comfortable reaching out to my council member and asking them a question, telling them a concern, and then hoping and feeling confident that they will get back to me, because they were always there in my neighborhood, next to me, at an event, at the town center, in school, at a job fair. That's what you need to look at. It's the commitment, the trust, the integrity, forward-looking, and in all, at the end of the day, I will tell you this, we all come with good hearts. There's nobody here who has come with any malicious intention. And I again thank you all for your time.
Well, to wrap up, we're all here to earn your trust and hopefully earn your vote. Voting starts Monday, so everyone get out there. We want a robust turnout, and we want everyone to engage in the community to make it a better place. And I'm sure I speak for everyone here. We'd be honored to have your trust and your vote. I'm running as what I feel is the most qualified candidate to contribute day one on behalf of the residents of District 4 and the city as a whole. I've worked with the city for a long time. I've worked with every department our city has. I've worked for, under, or with 2 city managers and for, under, and with 4 mayors. I've enjoyed endorsements from many of our former city leaders who are also engaged now in a community in a non-elective capacity. I believe I've earned the trust and respect of those who've run this city so well over the years. Today is the first time that I've actually grown concerned in an open discourse. And it's incumbent upon me to explain myself with my closing remarks. As a planning and zoning commissioner, I understand what a plan development looks like. When we are presented with a plan development, it's an official document. It's been reviewed by staff. My job is to review that plan further and provide recommendations to the city council. There was never a recommendation for 900 apartments. The city council never ruled on a recommendation for 900 apartments. The Planning and Zoning Commission never saw a plan for 900 apartments. We did, however, see a development agreement, a binding contract by our partner developer, Newland Communities, that only allowed for 400 apartments, of which 88 were only left across the freeway. There were never going to be 900 apartments. What concerns me is that Ms. McCutcheon doesn't know what a planned development looks like, thinks that there's a 10-story building going right across the street from her. She doesn't understand the bulk plan analysis. She doesn't understand setbacks. She couldn't be a planning and zoning commissioner right now, so how could she be a city council person? I have to say that. I didn't want to, but I want to clarify the record. I'm ready to serve. I've served for a long time. I love and have passion for this community, and I want your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you again to the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center for hosting today, and thank you to all of you for coming out here today. 24 years ago, we moved to Sugar Land, to District 4. We moved to Crescent Lakes, which is at the intersection of Sweetwater and Lexington. At that time, Sweetwater was an overpass. Lexington dead-ended at Oxbow. First Colony Mall wasn't built. And we weren't even in the city limits. The population was 15,000 people. Now, move forward to 2018, we're going to have 117,000 people in the city. So, back to 2015, after Newland had made the proposal for the 900 apartments, the residents started looking at the development code, and they said, wait a minute, there's no cap on the number of apartments on a planned development district, or on spacing, or is there any maximum height requirements in that document? Furthermore, there was a new element that was put into the code for urban apartments with a minimum 4-story height requirement. And the citizens said, we want to make sure that when future development and redevelopment opportunities come along, that we want to be protected, that we want the developers to have some guidance as to what the community wants. And Sean did say, hey, let's put the apartment issue to rest for this election. And as all of you have heard today, I don't think that issue has been put to rest yet. And it hasn't been put to rest because there is still no limit on the number of apartments that can be in a planned development district. And I said we're not looking at something short-term, but we're looking at something, say, 20 or 25 years out. That is how long that the development code and the land use plan will be in place. Yes, I agree, the current city council does not support apartments, but they're going to be term limited out in 7 years or less. So we need to have safeguards in place that will govern, like I said, the development 20, 25 years out when different areas throughout the city are ready to be redeveloped. For 24 years, I've been listening to and representing my community in District 4. I'm one of you. I'm not funded by developers or PACs. I'm serving because I have a heart to serve. I ask for your vote so I can be your voice on City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. I wouldn't be doing my job for the League of Women Voters of Houston if I didn't reiterate that voting in this election starts Monday. Please show up, Let your voice be heard. Make sure your neighbors know that voting starts on Monday. Get out the vote. And with that, Brandon, we'll turn it over to the MC.
Well, I'd like to, like Rita mentioned, thank the candidates for some very enlightening responses to some undoubtedly tough questions. And also thank the moderators, Rita and Brandon, for an amazing job with the forum. I would like, if you could bear with me, to invite Honorary Secretary Faisal Momin up to the stage just for a moment. And this is just a token of our appreciation for all of you, candidates and moderators, taking the time to be here today. Pass out.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here. It's nice to meet you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Moon. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for all your help and your partnership as always. Brandon, thanks for all your help.
And if you'd like to take a picture with
Sure.
you and my picture.
Thanks for taking a quick picture.
How do you want to start?
And so each of the gifts that was passed out was a small token from the Aga Khan Museum in Toronto. I'd also like to thank each and every one of you for being here today, audience members, residents, and voters. And again, encourage you to get out there to vote and to do it before Election Day on May 6th. Lastly, if you'd like, please join us in the lobby for refreshments. I believe all of the candidates are staying at least for some time to mingle with each of you. Additionally, we will also be having tours of the Ismaili Jamatkhana Center, this center, if any of you would like to take advantage of that. And we would encourage that you do. Please also be on the lookout for future events here at the center. And lastly, again, we thank you for your time and taking the time out of your weekend to be here today. Thank you very much.
Yeah,